So guys, boom! We were all wondering for the past year who was going to be that number one player in that 2023 high school class. Guys, and I said it in my previous videos, we thought it was going to be, a lot of people thought it was going to be Justin Edwards. People were saying GG Jackson. Some people were saying Robert Dillingham, so many mixture of players. But DJ Wagner, he remained as the number one player in the entire country. And you watched this video, I don't know if you were doubting him. I don't know if you were doubting DJ Wagner, but I feel like we all owe this man an apology. We got to clap it up. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we got to clap it up for DJ Wagner because people do not realize what this man is doing. I've heard so much people say that point guards are never going to remain as the number one player in the country. You never see point guards remaining as the number one player. Just go look at the past top 5 players, top number one player in all the previous classes. I honestly think the last point guard that was number one was actually Brandon Jennings. I do have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it was Brandon Jennings. And guys, that was years ago. Brandon Jennings was the number one player years ago. If Ben Simmons, that counts. I don't even count that as an undersized, not even undersized, as a 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" type of point guard. DJ Wagner is still remaining as the number one player. And like I said, we got to clap it up. Get in the comment section down below. And I want to know your opinions on DJ Wagner still remaining as the number one player. I mean, how exactly did DJ Wagner play during the Nike EYBL circuit? How did he play at Camden this past year? And why is he still ranked as the number one player? I honestly want to take a deep dive look at this. So let's go ahead and break this down very, very quickly. I mean, some notable games that I personally feel like he had at Camden this past year. We saw how he played against Roselle Catholic in that first game. He finished with 25 points and he actually beat Simeon Wiltshire in that first game. And I feel like DJ Wagner made a statement that he was the best player in New Jersey. Simeon Wiltshire, you guys know, he's a top 10 player, in my personal opinion, overall in the entire country. And he's going to UNC for a reason. And the fact that DJ Wagner Camden took that team down in that first game, he definitely proved a lot, in my personal opinion. But then, as we know, at the very end of the season in the Tournament of Champions, DJ Wagner and Simeon Wiltshire, they did have their rematch. And unfortunately, Camden ended up taking the L and DJ Wagner lost that game. And although he did lose, he still had a pretty solid game, in my personal opinion, finishing with 23 points in that last game. We also saw how he played against MGBAKO, finishing with 18 points in that game and also a W. And we also saw how he played against Sierra Canyon, finishing with 21 points and breaking this man Bronny James's ankles. Guys, if you remember that, comment down below and remind everybody that no, Bronny did not slip. Bronny didn't get tripped up. This man DJ Wagner, he crossed up this man Bronny James. Let me know who remembers that. But then again, on the flip side, we got to acknowledge the bad games that he did have. Obviously, we know against Calvary Christian, and we also know how bad he played against Montverde Academy, only finishing with 4 points in that game. During his high school season at Camden this past year for his junior year, I think he had a pretty solid year, averaging close to 20 points a game. You honestly can't be mad at that. And then fast forward to the Nike EYBL circuit, averaging about 19 points a game, 4 rebounds and 5 assists. I think he was pretty solid during the entire summer. At the beginning of the circuit, I think he was pretty good. And then as it came along, he did become pretty stagnant. He didn't really have any too crazy games or wowing anybody, in my personal opinion. It's crazy because I actually heard people saying that they went to some of these Nike EYBL circuit games for DJ Wagner, and it just wasn't the same. People were saying that he wasn't as dominant. Some people were saying that he was non-existent. But one thing you just cannot deny about DJ Wagner is that whenever he does have his motor on, he's definitely goated, and he's definitely one of the best players on the floor whenever he is trying to engage himself in that game. So notable games that he did have during the Nike EYBL circuit was obviously against Bronny James. He finished with 14 points in that game, shooting 5 for 12 from the field. And in my personal opinion, although he wasn't crazy dominant in that game throughout the entire game, the fact that he still played Bronny James, who only finished with 6 points, going 2 for 14 in that game, we got to clap it up for DJ Wagner. Same thing whenever he played against Jeremy Fierce. He finished with 22 points and 4 rebounds, going 7 for 17, and most of his misses actually came from the 3-point line, so he did shoot pretty efficiently whenever it came to the 2-pointers that he did make, and he also outplayed Jeremy Fears, while he only finished with 15 points, going 5 for 7 in that game. He also had a pretty solid game in my personal opinion against Team Thad and Caleb Foster, a super underrated point guard and the player that's actually going to Duke, and he finished with a crazy 28 points, going 11 for 16. And like I said, he also outplayed Caleb Foster, who only finished with 9 points, going 2 for 6 from the field. Against Robert Dillingham, this one honestly could go either way. I did think that Robert Dillingham slightly outplayed DJ Wagner, but in that game, he only finished with 13 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, going 6 for 20, which honestly is not that good. But Robert Dillingham, I'm not gonna lie, he honestly didn't have a crazy game either, but he only finished with 15 points, going 6 for 16 from the field. And that was definitely a game that I feel like everybody and their mama was watching. All the cameras, if you remember, all the cameras was on this matchup between DJ Wagner and Robert Dillingham. And the fact that both of these players didn't really show up, not necessarily they didn't show up, but they didn't have the games that we all expected them to have. They were missing like crazy in this game, and neither of them was even the best player on the floor. Aiden Holloway, McKenzie, they were easily the best players on the floor that night. But you know, the fact that DJ Wagner, the fact that he still tried to engage himself shooting 20 shots and attempting 20 shots, guys, you know, you honestly can't be mad at that. And that's why players are #1 players in my personal opinion. That's why some of these guys are top players, because although they are missing, they understand that you miss every shot that you don't take, and you also have to try to engage yourself in any type of way in a specific game. And I just personally like the aggressiveness that we was honestly seeing from DJ Wagner. Guys, DJ Wagner, I'm telling y'all, he actually shows up in a lot of these games, and you honestly just cannot look at the numbers to really see just how good of a player that DJ Wagner is. Whenever you actually sit down and watch him play, you clearly see that he has the mechanics, he has the fundamentals, and they're not just gonna put a player at #1 just because he had a few solid games. He shows up, he wants the smoke, and he actually performs majority of the time. But this senior year, I honestly want to see him play against guys like Isaiah, Mikey, Robert Dillingham one more time. I want to see him play against some crazy games, and I want to see what Camden's schedule is honestly going to look like. But despite DJ Wagner being #1, like I said in a lot of the previous videos that I've actually made, there's a couple players in the top 5 or even the top 10 that has a pretty good argument of being the #1 player in the country. It's crazy because whenever DJ Wagner was a freshman, I honestly thought that he was miles ahead of a lot of guys in the class. I honestly thought he had the fundamentals, he had the tangibles, he was just doing the little things right. But I don't know, I just personally feel like there are some guys that are potentially catching up to DJ Wagner. I mean, we can all agree there's better scorers than DJ Wagner, but overall, as an overall player, there's a huge argument that you can say that DJ Wagner is probably the best overall player on the offensive end and also defensive end. The fact that he has the jumper that he does have, the fact that he understands how to play off the ball, and he also wants to guard the best player on the opposing team. Guys, like I said, I'm excited to see how he's going to play in Camden. The fact that he's doing something that nobody thought was possible and still remain as the #1 player in the country, guys, we got to clap it up. I don't think people understand how hard it is to be the #1 player as a 6'2", 6'1" type of point guard. And guys, if DJ Wagner can stay and remain as the #1 player, the sky is honestly the limit. You watch this video, I do want to know your personal opinion on DJ Wagner remaining as the #1 player. Do you think he should still remain as the #1 player? Do you think there's another player who should be #1? Just get in the comment section down below. I want to know your overall opinions on this entire topic. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, join the free Discord down below. And with all that being said, guys, thank you for watching. It's been an episode of Juice Made TV. Peace.